Hey everyone, it's Amanda Lee, and I am back today with another speed build for The Sims 4. This build is a Tuscan, kind of like desert-inspired build, and I got my inspiration from this build from a trip that I went on to visit my parents in Arizona. They moved recently, just to a different area in the same city, and while I was there, we looked at a few houses for them, and I kind of actually drew inspiration for this one directly from one of the layouts that we saw while we were down there. So it's a really cool layout that I liked. It was kind of just interesting, and I really liked the courtyard with it, and I'm happy with how it turned out. It's a really cool build. It's not anything that's like super creative or stunning or breathtaking or anything, but it's just a good, like, solid, usable family home that will work in pretty much any game that you want to put it into. So Arizona, if you've ever been there, you know that Oasis Springs is pretty much directly inspired by it. So I have no idea why I didn't do this build in Oasis Springs. That was my intention originally, but somehow it just didn't happen. So that's why we're building in Willow Creek. But you could totally place this lot in Oasis Springs. I'm almost 100% certain that there is a lot this same size in Oasis Springs that would work perfectly for this build. And it's not a huge lot or anything. I think it's 20 by 30, I want to say. So, you could place it in pretty much any world I think has a lot that's at least, would fit this house for sure. So one of the cool things about this house is that it has this little courtyard area, and this is a fun thing that a lot of homes in Arizona and other desert-y type landscapes do have, and they tend to have like a little fountain in them, a little sitting area, and kind of just different decoration items and stuff like that. So I thought it would be fun to incorporate that, and this again is directly inspired from the floor plan of a home that I have seen. And it had this same little courtyard that kind of connected the both sides of the house, and I just found it interesting and I liked the flow to it, and so that's why I wanted to go ahead and do that. You can see here I'm placing some greenery around the trellis that goes over the top of that courtyard, and then I end up putting a fountain in. I'm just testing out which one I wanted to use, but yeah, I do end up going with this base game fountain. I do actually use a lot of base game items in this build. I think that I actually did this build a few months ago now, probably like 3 or 4 months ago, and it's just been kind of sitting in my edit folder. And I think I did it really shortly after Parenthood came out. So that's kind of what it was inspired by. I just wanted to do a family home because I was just feeling the family vibes at that time, and was kind of into that type of gameplay, and so that's what I went with. But I end up using a lot of base game items, actually. There is some Parenthood stuff and of course other packs too, but since they did release Oasis Springs with the base game, there tends to be a lot more of like this deserty Tuscan vibe stuff with the base game rather than that has come out in like expansions. In fact, there's not much of it in other parts of the game. So that's interesting, considering the fact that there's like an entire world that has this vibe. It's kind of interesting to me that they haven't done more with it. Here you can see me starting to work on the roof. I actually completely changed this because I was unhappy with how it just looked kind of like a big slab almost, and it just wasn't that appealing, especially from higher up. So I end up changing this in the end. I actually add a second story. And another thing that I also do is I really change up the coloring of this build. I kind of really went back and forth between, do I want it to be like a tannish color with the traditional red roof, and then I thought maybe I'll do the tan with the darker roof, and that in the end I think I go with just a more like creamy color on the outside and a darker roof as well. I've just cut ahead right there of me placing windows because it was just taking a lot of time of me finding the right windows and making sure all the colors matched on all of them. So that's why I cut ahead. But now you'll actually see me place. At first I was like, maybe I could do a roof element that will make it interesting. But at this point I decided, no, I'm gonna do an upper level. And the home that I was inspired by, like I said, did not have an upper level. It's more common, honestly, in Arizona to see single-story homes, I would say. So that's why I didn't originally go with a double story. But I like the way this looks a lot better. It just looks a little bit less, I don't know, monotonous, I guess you could say, just all the roof and the stuff being the same color, and I end up liking it a lot. So I am, like, right now you're seeing kind of the orangey yellow roof tiles almost, or red, I mean. I do change those to be like darker, almost black, a little bit later in the build. I don't really know at what point I do that, but you will see that change happen. Yeah, I just like how that looks so much better with that roof and that coming out up at the top. It just breaks it up a lot better. So here I've moved into the interior. The layout of this kitchen and like dining area and just the whole house I really end up liking it. It's cool, it's unique. One thing that I was kind of like, should I have done that, is that the entrance to the master, the only way you can get through to it is to go through the kitchen. And the kitchen isn't like closed off by any means, but I just wondered how the flow of that would feel in the end. So you'll kind of see what I'm talking about as I work here. These countertops are from, what is it, Backyard Stuff, I think? Or Cool Kitchen Stuff, actually, maybe? I like these countertops a lot. I do end up changing the color of them, I believe. See, at this point, I was still thinking I would go with like a really traditional, I guess like kind of brownish and just really earthy tones for the inside. And this is so characteristic of homes in Arizona. I grew up in Arizona and my parents are still there and stuff. So I'm very familiar with the architecture and everything. And so this coloring is very characteristic of that. But it just ended up, it felt old to me a little bit. So I ended up going a different direction. You saw me just now change the colors of the countertops, and that was kind of like the inspiration for me to change the whole coloring of the whole house. So like eventually you'll see me also change the floor coloring and the tiles and everything to just look maybe a little bit more modern, you could say, like while still having that Tuscan vibe that I was going for. And this build, I was like so uninspired by when I started it. I had this idea and I was like, this is gonna be awesome. And I was just doing it and things just kept not working out that I had a vision for in my mind. So that happens to me so often where I think I have the perfect build planned out in my head, and you know, I've like dreamed about it and even like drawn floor plans out in my mind, and I just picture where everything's gonna be. And it just doesn't end up working. And it can be frustrating for sure, but being able to adapt and just like kind of change your vision while still moving forward with what you originally intended, I think is a really important thing to do. So I was happy that I was able to pull that off in this build, because it had me worried there for a while. And it took me a while to record because I just wasn't super happy with it. But there gets to a point that I do start to really like it, and at the end product I really like as well. So that was just fun to see it kind of come together from a place where I was like, this isn't what I was picturing. Oh, so yeah, see here I kind of decided to go with the lighter feel, and I just started changing the floors and playing around with that. And eventually, you know, I'll change everything in the house to kind of go that way as well. Yeah, see, already those lighter floors look so good with it, I think. Oh, and I do go with a little bit of a darker, almost like a smoky brown color for the cabinets. I love that color. What is it? I want to say it was Cool Kitchen Stuff, but then I also kind of want to say it was Backyard Stuff, so I don't remember. It was one of those two for sure, though. Just placing some diagonal tiles to make that little entrance. And I don't know if you guys can tell or saw it at the beginning, but oh yeah, there you go. The front door is actually right there on the diagonal. So I thought that was fun. Like you walk in and you're immediately kind of in the kitchen area, and I don't know, I always feel like the kitchen is the hub of the home and where people tend to gather, and I really liked this bar, this big bar with the, you know, the 5 seats at it. And then just some clutter objects around. It just feels like a family home to me. And while doing like super modern or like really artistic type homes is fun, sometimes it's fun to just do a family home that like you can totally picture your sim family living in. And that's kind of the direction that this one went in. So I'm trying to count in my head right now, but I know that this build has a guest room, a room for 2 little boys, and you know, they might be a teenager and a kid, or they might be twins, whatever you wanted to do. And then there's also a girl teenage room and a boy teenage room. Of course, it just gets really boring if you don't picture like a story for your family as you're building, even if it's just a totally made up family that you're not even gonna play with. But otherwise the rooms end up like looking all the same. So adding that little bit of interest, I think, just makes for a more interesting building process, and then also a more interesting build to watch as well. Otherwise, they basically all just end up looking like really blank slate type guests rooms, and that isn't exciting. So let me count those. So we have the master, we have the guest room, the little boys room, the girls room, and the older boys room. So yeah, 5 bedrooms in this house. So it's actually really good sized. And then bathrooms, let me think. You know what I just realized as I'm talking right now? I don't know if I put a bathroom in the guest room at all. Interesting. Well, it's okay. There's 1, 2, 3. There's for sure 3 bathrooms. And yeah, I think there might just be 3 now that I'm thinking about it. That's kind of funny though. I should have put one in the guest room, because the guest room is this room that's attached on the left to the living room that I'm doing right now. So you can kind of see it's kind of out there on its own. It should probably have a bathroom. But you know what you could really easily do? And I could be totally remembering this wrong, guys, because like I said, I built this forever ago. So what you could do though is see that little notch where it sticks out on that guest room? You could totally put a bathroom in there. Just like a small one. That would be easy to do. Geez, now it's bugging me that I can't remember. That's okay, we'll see here in a minute. Oh yeah, and here I kind of do this like kind of smoky brown on the walls, which looks really fun. I like that a lot actually, because I was looking maybe a little too beige there for a minute with the light floors and the light walls. So here's the guest room, and I actually skipped the furnishing of that guest room just because I didn't want this to get too long. But I guess maybe we won't see if there's a bathroom in it. I'm sure that there's something about it in the screenshots though, or I'll be able to see it out of the corner of my eye at some point. So yeah, I'm just placing some objects in the hallway. Oh yeah, I was just trying to decide which coloring I wanted to go with. At this point I was still just really like, how do I want the colors to look in here? And it still wasn't super clear to me what I was gonna go with. So yeah, I'm also doing a few different paintings. I ended up going with that one in the middle, I'm pretty sure. I like that one. That's a city living painting, I believe. And those are the ones that also come in like the massive billboard sizes. And I always accidentally put that one in. Like, of course not actually put it in, but like drag it into my window, and it's funny just how big it is. It's kind of comical. And then here's just like a little sitting area just to add a little bit of interest to that kind of bare corner there. So yeah, you can kind of see at this point though, you can see that the only way to get into the master is through the kitchen. So I don't know, let me know what you guys think about that, because I was curious whether or not people would be bothered by it. I personally decided I was fine with it, but I see why some might not be okay with it. Okay, so you can see here right now, oh, I just turned the camera, but maybe if I turn it back a little bit to the left, you'll see that the guest room is now furnished. And I'm just dying to know whether or not there's a bathroom in there. I'm not sure. But yeah, now I'm working on this little boy's room. And like I said, I pictured it maybe being like a teenage boy and then a littler kid. So the teenage boy in my mind was in the bed on the left, the camo. And I pictured them both being really smart, but kind of in different ways. Like the older boy maybe is just really into video games and kind of almost nerdy in that way, and then the younger boy was more into like science, and I end up putting, oh, I think I actually just put in that little science station for him. So they're both smart and into that type of thing, so it makes sense that they would share a room, but they have like different interests at the same time, just so they're not, and you know, they could be twins too if you wanted to play it that way. But I end up liking the colors of this room, the kind of red and blue, and I like that their beds are different too, because I just feel like that makes it, just lends it a little more authenticity. Like, I know some people probably share a room and have the same bedding, but I know for a lot of family homes it ends up kind of just being like, yeah, choose the bedding that you want, just to kind of keep both parties happy. So now I've moved into the teenage girl's room, and I pictured her being a dancer, like really into dancing, and I actually put a little dance floor, and I tried to make it look like a ballet bar too in the upstairs area, so you'll see that when we go up there. I think it ends up looking kind of fun. But yeah, here I gave her a little vanity that's from, what's it called? Vintage Glamour stuff. Those vanities are so fun, and the fact that they're usable. But it's hilarious because I all the time have Sims autonomously decide that they want to go play with makeup, which is great and fun. But like half the time they end up looking crazy, and I haven't figured out a way to like get it off. Maybe like if you shower, I guess. I'm trying to remember if I've tried that before, but it's so funny. And all the time for me, I had this particular one little boy that loved to go to his mom's makeup table and play with makeup, but every single time he just looks like crazy. It's like really crazy, like bright blue eyeshadow, like super, super bright rosy cheeks. It's so funny. I like it. But it's funny because Sims randomly have those few actions that they decide so often that they're gonna do, like getting water, for example, or washing their hands. Those are just, you see those come up all the time. And for me, whenever I have that makeup table, that ends up being one of them too, that they just want to play with makeup. So it's kind of funny. So I'm done with the teen girls room now. I moved into the master, and this is the master bathroom, which I don't ever really use that corner tub, so it was kind of fun to use it. It just ended up being good for that space. At first I was like, oh my gosh, this bathroom is massive. What am I gonna put in here? Because I don't normally do like a bathtub and a shower. I usually do either just a bathtub or a tub shower combo, which is small too. So having them both is kind of a fun thing, and kind of, you know, my parents always had them both separate growing up, so it makes sense that in a master bedroom of a family home, they would have those two separate little areas. I love the round mirror. Is that base game? I don't think it is. I can't remember what pack it is though. But like I said, like as I'm watching this, honestly, a lot of this stuff does end up being base game. That's just how it worked out, kind of. I wasn't even trying to do that. If you do want to see like a build that just uses base game, I just put up a cats and dogs build that's only cats and dogs and base game, and so that was a fun challenge. And I recorded the whole video, I did the voiceover and everything, and then I was going to upload it and going to upload it to the gallery on Sims. And you cannot see, which I wish they would add this feature, you can't see which packs that you've used until you've actually uploaded it to the gallery and then go view it in the gallery. Like you can't even see it as you're uploading. So I went and did that all. I uploaded it to the gallery, and then I went and looked at it in the gallery, and it says your packs that you've used. And for me it was cats and dogs, obviously, base game, and then it was like outdoor retreat, vampires, and parenthood, I think. And I was like, oh my gosh, because I really was so careful, or tried to be. Obviously I wasn't that careful, but I tried to be so careful, just like double checking everything I placed, but somehow like 3 things had slipped past me. And it ended up being like a plant that had come with outdoor retreat, which took me forever to find. It ended up being like some paintings that were on the wall, which I actually had known about those, but there was one that I missed. And then, oh, what was the other one? Oh yeah, it was, I don't even know what it's called, but it's like the roof detail that goes under the roof, kind of attaching to the house. I didn't even realize that one of those had come with vampires, but I ended up accidentally using a vampires one. So that's why I wasn't careful about it, because I didn't realize it. Most of the build stuff is not, like there's not a lot of build stuff that comes with packs. Windows, yeah, and doors, but stuff like that, not super often. So it seriously took me though probably like 30 minutes just going through to try to figure out what it was that I had put in, because I really, really wanted it to be just base games and just cats and dogs, because I know that it's so hard to do that, and a lot of YouTubers want to do it and say that they're gonna do it, but just have a hard time doing it. And I get it, it was really hard for me too. So I just wanted to make it happen for you guys though, and so I was happy that I was able to find those items. There was a point where I was like, am I just gonna have to leave it? I think it was the oh, you know what it was actually? I accidentally placed some windows from Parenthood, and I didn't even think about that for some reason because it was like one of the first things that I placed. And I hadn't at that point super firmly decided, like, okay, no, I'm not gonna do, you know, every pack. I'm just gonna do these ones. So I don't know, for some reason I just was not realizing it. And then I even did realize it at one point, but there was still one sitting somewhere else randomly. So that was tough. Anyways, I just talked through the whole master bedroom, but it was pretty self-explanatory. It's just a fun master bedroom. I put some musical instruments, picturing that like maybe the dad was in a band back in the day and still likes to play music and stuff. So I think I gave him a guitar and a violin. So now I'm upstairs though, and this is the teen boy's bedroom. And for him, I pictured him being studious and smart, but also really into sports. So you can see I have that sporting equipment right there. And I actually pictured him maybe being like the star champion on the varsity basketball team. So above this little desk area, I end up putting some basketball jerseys, and then I give him a little gym right next to that, just because I thought like if he is, you know, a big basketball player, he's definitely going to want to have like a place that he can work out at home and keep on top of his fitness. So that's kind of fun. I like throwing a gym in if I can because you get good use out of it. It's not just gonna sit. Sometimes I'll also do like a sauna because it can take up the same amount of space, but I feel like a gym's way more useful. At this point, I was trying to figure out, like, I was looking through all the stuff for like sports jerseys or sports anything, just sports stuff I could put on the wall. And the jerseys ended up being perfect. And that's kind of when I was like, oh yeah, maybe he's like a really good basketball player. So here's the gym. Those are items from fitness stuff pack, I believe. And then I could put like the little mirror in there and the TV, and I was having a hard time figuring out what I wanted to put on that wall because it looked blank to me. So I ended up putting just like, maybe he has lots of supplements and like protein powders and different stuff, and he just stores them in the gym right next to his room. Oh yeah, and then up here I thought it would be just cool to do like a big family hangout movie room. So I used the projector screen from Movie Hangout stuff, and then yeah, that's a couch from Parenthood. I think that little orange seat is from Parenthood as well. Actually, it might be from Toddlers now that I think about it. I don't know, I can't remember. And then I love these square coffee tables from Parenthood. Now if only we could get a round coffee table, that would be amazing. But you know what I'm so excited about is they've released like the items that are gonna come with the Eco Living pack, which is coming out soon. And one of the items is a 6-seater round table. And I'm so excited about that. Because we of course have 4-seater round tables, but it's just so different than a 6-seater where it can look like a family table and just be really dramatic and cool looking. So there you just saw me place the little dance area for the teenage daughter. So yeah, we have the mirror, we have the dance floor, and then kind of that little fence is supposed to be like a ballet bar basically. And I think it ends up being fun. It does maybe make the space feel a little crowded, so of course you could take that out if it was bugging you, but I just thought it was a fun little extra detail to throw in there. And then this is me just doing a few last little bits of detail work. For some reason that painting didn't want to place, which was funny. This upstairs though, I love the orange and the blue. Okay, here we are into the screenshots. So there's the exterior and the courtyard, which is really cute. This is a cool shot just from the front door. The kitchen. I really like the coloring of the kitchen. This is the dining room kind of looking towards the front door. This is the main little living room that's downstairs. The boys' room. And then the teenage girls' room. I love the bright purple bed. Here's the upstairs movie hangout area. Oh yeah, and I put a pool in the back. I don't know why I didn't record that, but there's a pool. And here is the floor plan. And yeah, there you have it. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this build. If you did, please make sure to like it and subscribe to my channel. And I look forward to speaking to you guys soon.